There are some areas of land actually below sea level, which were once marshland covered by water. The coastal delta plain of the River Po is one such area. It gradually emerged after drainage of the site began in the mid-15th century. Here the soil is black, owing to the high content of decomposing organic matter. The marsh water that once covered this area slowed down the decomposition of organic plant matter, leading to the formation of an organic material called peat. By studying a profile, we can ascertain the marshy origins of these soils. The surface horizon, which is black in colour, is peat. In underlying strata, the colour of the earth changes, revealing the presence of a water table that fluctuates with the changing seasons. The variations in colour are caused by the presence of iron, which is reddish where air circulates, and greyish where water drainage is more difficult and there's a degree of stagnation.
Ce n'è avanti un altro che è esattamente qui, ma non stanno lavorando il terreno, che sarebbe forse più nero di questo, ma è terreno non lavorato, così non si vede niente.
The colour is therefore an important source of information for soil scientists, who measure and record it using special soil colour charts. Each colour has its own symbol, allowing data to be easily filed.
Il colore, se siamo sul 25Y54 come colore di matrice, che sono troppo rossi, qui probabilmente ancora, il colore sul bruno giallastro. Un terreno di un colore relativamente poco intenso viene definito bruno olivaceo.
Apennine River deposits led to the formation of the alluvial plain in Emilia-Romagna. The plain is generally thought of as a uniform, monotonous territory, but in actual fact it has a wide variety of landscapes and soils. When a watercourse bursts its banks, silt and sand are deposited near the rivers. This is how the landscape of the Levees was formed, creating areas which are slightly higher than the surrounding plains. Here the soils are naturally very fertile and allow crops, both herbaceous and tree crops, to thrive. For this reason, fruit trees in Emilia-Romagna are mainly grown in these areas. The soil characteristics allow the use of intensive farming techniques to the farms, which are generally small, highly productive and very profitable. Because of the slight elevation of the land, offering protection against possible floods, these areas have hosted important roads and numerous settlements since ancient times. Even today, urbanization is still very intense. The soils of the Levees have a high silt content, which is easily compacted by rain. This leads to the formation of a hard crust several millimeters thick on the surface, which in turn can prevent plants from germinating. The soil is the habitat of a huge number and variety of organisms. Just a handful of earth contains hundreds of billions of minute living things, mostly bacteria and microscopic insects. The earth, as we said before, comprises mineral granules of different sizes, sand, silt and clay, which make up the fabric of the soil. The soil scientist uses his sense of touch to evaluate the presence of these components, with a margin of error of 5%. Silt produces a soapy, slippery feel in the hands. Sand is detected because of its gritty, rough feel between the fingers. Clay, in optimal conditions of moisture, can be worked and shaped in the hands, but when very wet is stickier to manipulate.
Perché l'argilla è così compatta che i cingoli vengono completamente avvolti dall'argilla.
Sono impastati completamente.
Lei non riesce a tornare a casa con le scarpe se non le ha lazzate bene.
Ma quindi sono veramente adesivi.
Sì.
Gradually, as we move away from the watercourses, alluvial deposits become finer and more clay. The interfluvial areas are the zones of the plain found at a slightly lower level than the Levees. They were once covered by marshland waters, but have been gradually drained over the last few centuries. This environment is characterized by an intensive network of ditches and drainage channels, which help remove excess water. Here, soils are conditioned by a high clay content, which can be up to 50 to 60%. In rainy seasons, clay, which retains water, increases in volume, causing serious waterlogging. In the summer heat, on the other hand, the clay dries out, and cracks form in the soil up to 10 centimeters wide and 90 centimeters deep. The combination of these two extreme conditions limits the development of tree crops, which explains why it's mostly herbaceous plants that grow here. The cracks result in breakage of the plant roots, as well as roads and building foundations. Consequently, the landscape is characterized by low-density urbanization and large fields. In fact, to obtain similar yields to farms in the Levees, farmers here have to cultivate a far larger surface area. In recent years, thanks to EU funding, some parts of the interfluvial areas are being reflooded, returning them to their original state as wet lands and enhancing